Picture this. You're the strongest man alive, capable of crushing boulders with your bare hands. But strength means nothing when the gods themselves have cursed you to madness, and in that madness, you've committed the unthinkable. Now, to cleanse your soul, you must face 12 impossible tasks that would break lesser mortals. Welcome to the ultimate test of human endurance, the legendary 12 Labors of Hercules. In the shadow of ancient Greece, our hero wasn't born into glory, he was born into a divine trap. Hercules, son of Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene, carried the blood of gods but lived with the hatred of Hera, Zeus's vengeful wife. When Hera's jealous rage drove him to temporary madness, causing him to commit a terrible crime against his own family, Hercules faced a choice that would define mythology forever: surrender to despair or seek redemption through the impossible. The Oracle of Delphi delivered his sentence: serve King Eurystheus for 12 years, completing whatever labors the cowardly king demanded. But Eurystheus, terrified of Hercules' power, didn't want him to succeed. He wanted him to die trying. Labor 1. The Nemean Lion. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object. In the hills of Nemea stalked a lion whose golden hide could not be pierced by any weapon forged by mortal hands. Arrows bounced off like raindrops. Swords shattered like glass. Warriors fled screaming. But Hercules didn't flee. When he realized brute force wouldn't work, he used something more powerful: his mind. He cornered the beast in its cave and strangled it with his bare hands, then used the lion's own claws to skin it. From that day forward, he wore the impenetrable golden hide as armor. First lesson: sometimes the solution isn't stronger weapons, it's thinking differently. Labor 2. The Lernaean hydra. When cutting off one head creates 2 problems, deep in the swamps of Lerna lived a serpent with 9 heads that regenerated 2 for every one severed. Hercules slashed and struck, but each victory doubled his enemy. The monster seemed to mock him. You cannot defeat what grows stronger through destruction. And then inspiration struck. With his nephew Iolaus holding burning torches, Hercules cauterized each neck as he severed the heads, preventing regeneration. But the vindictive King Eurystheus declared this labor incomplete because Hercules had help. Second lesson: innovation often requires collaboration, even when others try to diminish your achievements. Labor 3. The Cerberus Hind. The art of patience. Some battles aren't won through violence. The golden-horned deer, sacred to Artemis, could outrun the wind itself. For an entire year, Hercules pursued the creature across mountains, through forests, over rivers, not to kill it, but to capture it alive without harming a single golden hair. When exhaustion finally slowed the deer, Hercules didn't celebrate with violence. He gently captured it, carried it to Eurystheus, then released it back to Artemis. Third lesson: true strength sometimes means restraint, and the longest hunts teach the greatest patience. Labor 4. The Erymanthian boar. Turning fury into strategy. The massive boar terrorizing Mount Erymanthos fought with pure rage and killing tusks. But Hercules had learned that every beast has a weakness. He chased the boar up the mountain into deep snow, where its own weight became its prison. Returning with the beast alive, he found King Eurystheus so terrified that the king hid in a bronze jar. Fourth lesson: even the strongest enemies can be defeated by using their power against them. Labor 5. The Augean stables. When the impossible is just poor planning. King Aegeus owned 3,000 cattle, and their stables hadn't been cleaned in 30 years. The filth stood mountains high, a task that would take a normal man decades. Eurystheus smiled wickedly, certain this would be Hercules' first failure. But Hercules didn't grab a shovel. Instead, he diverted 2 rivers, channeling their combined force to wash away 30 years of waste in a single day. Aegeus, however, refused to pay the promised reward, and Eurystheus declared the labor invalid because payment was involved. Fifth lesson: sometimes the biggest problems require the most creative solutions, and success often breeds jealousy. Labor 6. The stymphalian birds. When numbers overwhelm strength. In the marshes near Lake Stymphalos, thousands of bronze-beaked, brass-feathered birds rained down arrows of death upon any who approached. Their sheer numbers made direct assault suicide. Hercules crafted bronze castanets, gifts from Athena, and created such a thunderous noise that the birds took flight in terror. As they fled, he shot them down with arrows dipped in hydra poison. Sixth lesson: sometimes the best attack is to first make your enemy reveal themselves. Labor 7. the Cretan bull facing the untamed. The magnificent white bull of Crete, father of the future Minotaur, rampaged across the island with divine fury. King Minos begged for its removal, but warned it could not be killed. It was sacred to Poseidon. Hercules wrestled the creature with his bare hands, demonstrating that divine favor means nothing without divine strength to back it up. He carried it across the sea to Greece, where he released it. The bull would later find its way to Marathon, creating future problems. But that wasn't Hercules' concern. 7th lesson: complete your mission, but don't create tomorrow's problems from today's solutions. Labor 8. The mares of Diomedes. When your enemies feed on violence, King Diomedes of Thrace kept 4 mares that ate human flesh, growing stronger and more savage with each victim. Hercules could have fought them directly, but he understood poetic justice. He fed Diomedes himself to his own horses. Satisfied with their master's flesh, the mares became docile and allowed Hercules to lead them away. 8th lesson: sometimes the best way to stop a cycle of violence is to complete it. Labor 9. The Girdle of Hippolyta. When diplomacy fails. Queen Hippolyta of the Amazons initially welcomed Hercules and agreed to give him her girdle willingly. But Hera, still plotting against our hero, spread rumors among the Amazons that Hercules planned to kidnap their queen. What began as a peaceful negotiation erupted into battle. In the chaos, Hippolyta died, and Hercules claimed the girdle from her lifeless body. 9th lesson: sometimes other people's hatred can poison even your best intentions. Labor 10. The Cattle of Geryon. The price of going the distance. On the island of Erythea lived Geryon, a giant with 3 bodies, guarded by a 2-headed dog and a herdsman. Hercules had to cross the Mediterranean, face multiple opponents, and steal cattle, all while keeping them alive for the journey home. To cross the sea, he convinced Helios to lend him the golden cup that carries the sun across the sky each day. He killed the dog with his club, shot Geryon with arrows, and drove the cattle home. The journey took months, with various kings trying to steal the herd along the way. 10th lesson: the hardest part of achieving the impossible isn't the big moment, it's everything that comes after. Labor 11. The Apples of the Hesperides. When you don't know what you don't know, nobody knew where to find the garden of the Hesperides, where golden apples granted immortality grew on a tree guarded by a 100-headed dragon. This wasn't just about strength. It was about wisdom, patience, and sacrifice. Hercules captured the sea god Nereus and refused to release him until he revealed the garden's location. Then he convinced Atlas, who held up the sky, to retrieve the apples while Hercules temporarily took on the burden of supporting the heavens. When Atlas returned and suggested he deliver the apples himself, Hercules agreed, but asked Atlas to hold the sky just for a moment while he adjusted his cloak. The moment Atlas took back the weight, Hercules grabbed the apples and left. 11th lesson: intelligence without wisdom is useless, but wisdom without cunning is dangerous. Labor 12. The capture of Cerberus, facing your deepest fears. The final labor sent Hercules to the one place from which no hero returns, the Underworld itself. He had to capture Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards the gates of death, and bring it to the surface. Hades agreed to the task with one condition: Hercules must subdue Cerberus using only his strength, no weapons. In the deepest, darkest realm of existence, armed with nothing but his courage, Hercules wrestled death's own guardian into submission. He carried the beast to the surface, showed it to the terrified Eurystheus, and returned it safely to its post. Final lesson: the greatest victories come not from conquering death, but from facing it with courage and returning with wisdom. When the 12 labors ended, Hercules was no longer the rage-driven demigod who had begun this journey. He had become something more, a hero who understood that true strength comes not from divine blood, but from the choice to keep fighting when everything seems impossible. Each labor stripped away another layer of who he thought he was, revealing who he needed to become. The man who emerged had learned patience from the Lernaean Hind, creativity from the Augean stables, wisdom from Atlas, and courage from Cerberus himself. The eternal lesson. But here's the real secret that makes Hercules' story timeless. He didn't complete these labors because he was the son of Zeus. He completed them because he chose to see each impossible task as a puzzle to be solved, rather than an enemy to be destroyed. Every obstacle taught him something new. Every failure forced him to evolve. Every victory prepared him for the next challenge. The 12 labors weren't punishments. They were the universe's way of forging the first true hero. Right now, you're facing your own impossible labors. Maybe it's a career that seems beyond your reach. Perhaps it's a relationship that feels broken beyond repair. Could be a dream that everyone tells you is unrealistic. But here's what Hercules learned that you can apply today. Stop trying to muscle through everything. Like the Nemean Lion, some problems can't be solved with brute force. They require creativity. Don't fight alone when you don't have to. Even heroes need help sometimes, regardless of what jealous kings might say. Patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. Some victories take a year of pursuit, like the Lernaean Hind. Turn problems into solutions. Channel those rivers of change through your obstacles, like the Augean stables. Face your fears directly. Your personal Cerberus is waiting in whatever underworld you've been avoiding. The question isn't whether you're strong enough to handle your impossible tasks. The question is, are you brave enough to start the first labor, knowing that it will change you into someone you've never been before? Your 12 labors are waiting. The only difference between you and Hercules is that he started his first one. Hercules, when you never stop? Or more importantly, when do you begin?